This episode of the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by Single Leg Takedown Wrestling. Go to sltd.com for fan articles, opinions, fantasy leagues, and more. sltdwrestling.com. Single Leg Takedown.
Welcome to the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Absolutely.
Keep on sucking. What? No. I don't get it.
Why?
What is this all about?
Why?
Old-fashioned slap right to the face.
What else? Listen up, wrestling fans.
That's right, listen up. We are back after a week gone. This is the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am Tommy Stryker. Joining me back and not under the weather as much this week is Taco.
What up?
Joe's here, hopefully staying not under the weather.
No, I'm still fine.
Good.
That's spitting in your mouth by the end of this podcast.
Yeah, Taco and I were both majorly under the weather last week, not able to record
Snowball effect,
the podcast. Joe. But we are back this week with lots to talk about because, last week we didn't get a chance to talk about TLC. Of course, Taco, you were in attendance.
I was.
You had your no scrubs sign.
Yeah, I'm the asshole with the no scrubs sign. I got it was fun kind of going on Twitter, see if anybody commented on it. And they did. One person was like, oh, I get it. No scrubs, TLC. Was this 1997?
Nice.
Sick burn.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was a good show, though. Good spot. I didn't think I was going to have a spot like that, so showing up was a good surprise. And
yeah, you were on the floor.
On the floor, up by the entrance ramp there, and wow, it was fucking, it's just completely different atmosphere from there to kind of like nosebleeds or, decent seats. So I'm definitely glad there was no pyro.
I was contemplating going, and I wasn't sure what time I was going to get off of work. I was looking at tickets that afternoon, and the only thing that was available in the afternoon was like upper deck stuff and some like really expensive floor seats. And I was like, man, I don't want to pay several $100s to sit on the floor seats. But then again, I've sat in nosebleed seats for second deck stuff for Raws and stuff like this before. And after you've been on the floor, it's like it's just not the same being up in that upper deck. I could being on like the lower bowl level would have been cool. But all those were gone by the time I was looking for tickets on Sunday. So, but yeah, I wasn't going to pay several hundred to sit on the floor.
I got very lucky in my spot there, so I didn't break the bank at all. So
right on. So yeah, fun times. You got to be at the show. So we're not going to talk about everything that happened last week. Obviously, that would be pretty redundant.
It wouldn't be the best
talking here, but I think we'll kind of get into some of the news as we go along in the conversation this week. There's obviously the Emma stuff to talk about, and everybody being sick. Tom Phillips was gone, Bo Dallas was gone. Both of those guys are back now.
Tom Phillips was on location though.
He was on assignment.
You're right.
Just like we were all on assignment last week. But yeah, Roman Reigns still not back yet. Still no Bray Wyatt back on Raw this week. So the sounds like it was first everybody was calling AIDS. It viral meningitis. Then it was something else like AIDS, and then now some people
infections
calling it the mumps, and so lots of different things. Lots of speculation as to
my dick.
Broke a dick.
Got cancer in a prick. I'm in the medical books for that.
Bray Wyatt might have a broken dick after the whole JoJo and divorce situation going on. It does not sound friendly.
Yeah,
it sounds bad.
I guess I don't really care that much to get into.
He was basically fucking JoJo, and then his wife found out. Now it sounds like she's going after everything.
Okay, well that'll happen. So
surprise,
that'll happen.
Well, let's just jump right into some Monday Night Raw, and we'll get into. We'll cover some past things that happened last week along the way and everything.
Monday Night Raw.
So yeah, this week we had the return of Stephanie McMahon to Monday Night Raw. I don't know how I feel about this. Of course, the big talking point out of last week was the invasion. What do they call it? # Under Siege. The big invasion from Smackdown.
Booker was great on commentary for that. I've never seen anything like this in 26 years, you guys. Hey, how was that Invasion WCW angle book?
and the Bullet Club thing from a couple of weeks before that as well. So yeah, I don't know. It was to me it was obnoxious. I don't know. It's just the fucking New Day out there in front of the whole thing. It was obnoxious. And then I don't know. What were your thoughts on the invasion, guys?
I don't mind the attack. It's just like you
the
said,
way it was
the
done.
way it was portrayed.
It was so
Snakes.
and everybody just oh yeah, let's do this, let's get over here, guys, and it just didn't do much for me.
Well, and then the awkward like switching to a camera behind a door, and then they all bust through the door like, oh, we were waiting for him.
I personally loved it. Like the last couple of weeks, WWE just like their filming and this presentations felt slightly different, more comical in a sense, but like just more fun though. It's different. It's not the same mundane shit we've been seeing. It's this Survivor Series having champ versus champ. It's Raw versus Smackdown. It's everything everybody's always fucking wanted in this kind of situation. The champs against each other and everything. So it's a fun event. It's fucking. We're getting ready for the Rumble. Let's have some fun with it a little.
Really,
bit.
that is the end game here. Is to get the fans, get us excited to see Raw versus SmackDown in the in the big Survivor Series.
We really don't
matchup.
really have any big baby face against heel matches outside of Shield, and Usos going into it. Other than that, everyone's a fucking heel. Bliss against Natalia, fucking Corbin against Miz. Lesnar's kind of I don't give a fuck, good guy, bad guy, and then you got
Lesnar is the biggest babyface in the world against Jinder Mahal. We're finally going to get to see Jinder get beat.
It's not like a John Cena babyface against
right. Right, and with Roman Reigns being out sick too, that kind of helps in that department as well. Mm-hmm. We don't get more Roman shoved down our throats. But yeah, what did you think of Stephanie coming out and blaming Shane for the invasion? Stephanie kind of blames Shane for all the crap that's been on Monday now. Everybody's sick now. We got your son getting involved in that dumb storyline. So she kind of shoves all the bad stuff onto Angle, but then of course makes him the Survivor Series captain, saying win or else or whatever. So if that's all the interaction, if we can keep the Stephanie McMahon to a minimum, I'm okay with it, and I don't mind. I'm not completely mad at the idea of Angle versus Shane McMahon, kind of the big. That's the big story, the big hook here going into Survivor Series. I could understand an argument to the other side of things, like why are we having Shane, this part-time wrestler, taking on this returning Curt Angle? You were there for the big return of Curt Angle in Minneapolis here at TLC.
Was nuts. We were kind of butthurt. It was cool him coming down to Shield and everything. It was just a fun little thing, but we wanted the fucking Curt Angle entrance. You know?
Well, you did kind of get it.
They weaved it in. For how sudden of a return it was, I'm glad it wasn't the return of Curt Angle. It was just like, hey, let's throw Curt in here, show him off a little bit. But it wasn't no fucking Curt Angle barn burner fucking of a match or anything.
Right.
We'll get that fucking return. We'll get that real return out of him.
Yeah, I think that will be. I mean, you'll get a little bit of that here at Survivor Series, but I think the big thing that everybody's waiting for is like the big singles match, probably going to happen at WrestleMania this year.
And this is a good way to get him, in there with everyone, get him wrestling again,
get him reintroduced.
And, oh no, Stephanie's back, whatever. But it gets him out of that GM role, and fucking let's get him wrestling.
There you go. So The Miz versus Matt Hardy for the Intercontinental title from Monday Night Raw. This was probably one of the better matches.
I was surprised by this.
Yeah. Good match. Miz does keep the title, getting the basically clean win. He hits the skull-crushing finale after kind of throating Matt Hardy on the top rope.
Gross.
Going into the finish. Come on now, you got to keep your mind out of the gutter, Taco.
That is so profane, Dana. I wasn't rude.
But yeah, Miz keeping the title here, going into the Corbin-Miz match at Survivor Series. A little bit of intrigue here. Corbin and Miz kind of going after each other on Twitter. I know you guys have been kind of into that a little bit.
Again, Miz, I love him. Like, Corbin's Corbin, and he's doing his thing, but just Miz responding to Corbin that this is the best promo I've ever seen from you. It's really great. But, the difference between you and me, I can do it fucking night in, night out in front of tens of thousands of fans, and you can do it to a fucking iPhone. And don't ever fucking, bring up my pregnant wife. Like they did the whole swear thing.
Stop talking.
So, yeah, a little bit of fun intrigue there. Alexa Bliss took on Mickie James on Raw for the women's title. Again, another rematch from TLC.
Decent length match, too.
And this was one of the better TLC matches as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about that main event from TLC was... I don't even know if I'd call it a pro wrestling match from TLC.
No.
But, I mean, it was just such an odd,
Going
big
into it was just already a spectacle.
Right. But this being one of the better matches of Alexa Bliss and Mickie James from TLC, rematched here on Raw in that main event spot. So a big spot for these two women. Another good match, another good showing for Mickie James. But then Alexa Bliss getting basically a clean win with a punch out of nowhere.
Knockout punch.
Just a straight up punch knocking her out. So,
I don't know what they're doing with her and her finishers because fucking she won a match with the DDT and now
she had won several with that low DDT that she had been doing. And then this punch, this knockout punch out of nowhere was just a really interesting finisher there. So I don't know. What do you do with Mickie James from here? I mean, obviously she's probably going to be on the Women's Survivor Series team. And I mean, quite possibly maybe phasing out to a more part-time role, of course. I could see that happening as well.
More Asuka fodder.
There's that too. Let's since you brought up Asuka, let's move right into that. They finally give Asuka the squash match that we've all been pining for.
Jesus, that poor girl.
This week on Monday Night Raw. But let's talk about we touched on the Emma situation at the top of the show, but without really talking about it. So we had the Asuka debut at TLC, a competitive match with Emma, and I think inside a fishbowl, that was a good match. It was a good back and forth. Emma looked good coming out of the match. Asuka, of course, getting the win, as everybody expected. But a lot of people online, including myself, complained at the idea of why would Asuka, this world beater coming out of NXT, this longest ever NXT champion, coming up to the main roster, why should she have a competitive one-on-one back and forth match where Asuka often was selling and doing all that, but making Emma look good in the match when Emma going into this match was just a geek, basically. She hadn't really been built up to be a big competitor. She, had been jobbing out on the roster. She went from being the Emelina gimmick back to the regular Emma gimmick for no reason, basically.
See, I don't look at it like that at all. Like, she had her fucking injuries, she had her issues, and I don't know what the fuck happened with the Emelina gimmick. I'm glad they threw that off to the side, but she had to work her way back up. I mean, fucking Paige's at the fucking Performance Center right now training her ass off. So it's just, she has to work her way up, and she did, and you have the other fucking divas back there, and we have people online bitching how we didn't get, how come Sasha Banks isn't fighting Asuka at TLC? It's like, well, you want that match now? No, that's a fucking moneymaker right there.
Right,
like, Emma is still proving herself at this point. I like Emma. She's a fantastic wrestler, but she's not the most interesting superstar. She never has been, even when she was popping bubbles. It was just...
Well, and my point here is Emma kind of won a fluke victory in a weird four-way to get the match with Asuka. The storyline of people wanting to get the match with Asuka was flawed in the first place. But had they built up Emma for like a month to look like this badass, right? Give her some good wins, give her some competitive matches with other people like Sasha Banks and Bayley's of the world, have long competitive matches where you win, and then you go in and have this long competitive match with Asuka. That would make sense. But the way Emma came into the match, Asuka should just come in and beat the shit out of her and get the hell out.
But you had the commentators, too, also saying, we know that she's the best superstar, one of the best, if not the best NXT superstar, but this is a different league now. This is the big lights, that, she's getting her ass whooped on the outside of the ring. So
that's kind of how I felt.
That's how I see it totally like that, where it's just like, yeah, you're on a whole different stage now, so she is going to be a little bit rusty pretty, not rusty, but, it is a different step, in a different ring in a sense. So, I'm glad we got a good competitive match out of it. And I thought this was going to be a whole different direction for Emma.
I don't like the regarding NXT as a lesser, and you come up and you have to, because then you
it is though,
but it's not because they bring in all the best indie talent from the world and they put them down there as a separate. It's really a third brand.
It really is better, wrestling wise and product
and there's
wise.
that.
It really is, but
it's the best WWE product. But my point is, you've made a big deal. You've had vignettes. Asuka is a big deal, and Emma, to the audience that's watching on, forget about the audience that is us that's watching NXT and main roster WWE. We know that a lot of people that watch main roster WWE, especially Raw, isn't necessarily watching NXT. So to have the vignettes and make a big deal out of Asuka, and then she comes up and has a competitive back and forth match with Emma, it just makes Emma look good and Asuka look average.
I didn't see that at all.
So
I feel it's weaker having her do that squash match on Raw when I thought we were gonna get at least a good feud out of the fucking two for a little bit. They could definitely carry it on an Emma feud for this, but no, we know the end result with that.
My feeling on squash matches. I feel they're overused, just way too much. Same with AOP. I can understand 2-3 squash matches. I don't need 5-6 weeks of them just beating the shit out of people over and fucking over and again.
But when you have a solid match with Emma 1 week, 2 weeks in a row, and then your third week on the main roster, it's against a no-namer. It's
see, and that's
that
was
to me
confusing.
is the downhill part.
Well, that's what they should have did from the beginning to build up Asuka anyway. But anyway, they're back. As far as I'm concerned, it's back on the right track with Asuka now. She looks like the world beater that she did in NXT.
Against nerds.
They tried
against nerds.
They tried. Well, look at that. Okay, well, look at Shinsuke Nakamura over on SmackDown. They did the same thing with him, and right now he feels just like another fucking guy. He's in there with Randy Orton on that level.
Everybody on SmackDown feels like another guy.
Well, right.
AJ Styles feels like another guy.
I would argue AJ feels a little bit on a higher level, but not by much. So, there's that. Nakamura came in, had a even Steven hard-fought match, a couple of matches with Dolph Ziggler, lost a couple of matches to Jinder Mahal, and there we go. He's just another guy. So if you want Asuka to be just another gal in the women's division, then go right ahead and have competitive matches with Emma. But nevertheless, so we had the 2 matches with Emma. Emma's gone now, released with Darren Young and Summer Rae. No big surprises there. But kind of at the end of the day, I'm kind of arguing for Emma having get squashed in these matches. I was a fan of Emma. I liked when they presented her character as credible down at NXT, and they never really did that on the main roster. So had they done a better job with her on the main roster, and then again, we don't know what she's like behind the scenes too. Obviously
she's a thief.
There's that, but also she's probably a little quirky, and because it was her quirky personality that got her over on the NXT level, and that never really worked on the main roster level, at least to any kind of real degree. So hopefully she can make something on the indie scene for herself. I think she's the type of person that could possibly do something like that.
I don't think this is a forever goodbye for her. It's something she needs. I feel like she needs to really refine herself in wrestling.
Sure, just a brand new coat of paint, doing something that's definitely
a whole Drew McIntyre situation.
Right, and let her go find herself as her character and get over again. So, anyway, back to Monday Night Raw. Strowman came back
with a vengeance.
Well, look, so let's go back to TLC. This insane fucking matchup. Oh my God. It was the turn of Braun Strowman, if you really think about it, because he gets in the conflict with Kane. Kane puts him through the stage, dumps all the chairs on him. Then him and all the other heels gang up on him to murder him. Yes. Put him inside the the garbage truck.
I am so glad I was able to be part of that. That was murder. Best shit ever.
Yeah, they put him in the garbage truck. He makes his big comeback this week in the most cartoonish skit.
That's great.
WWE is really outdoing themselves this year with these skits.
He's such a cartoonish guy, though. Just since day one of I'm not finished. You can't get more cartoony than that. Fucking the whole Scooby-Doo Roman Reigns spear into the ambulance. Like, keep the ball rolling with this guy. I'm loving it. Like,
just the goofy camera angles of the Miz and the Miz Taraj, and we're WWE superstars. Get the garbage truck out of our way, drive around, and just the obnoxiousness of the garbage truck backing up, and then the garbage falling out, and then rising out of the ashes like a phoenix.
I loved it because SmackDown was actually on Halloween night and Raw felt like a Halloween episode, but like done in a fun way, not like because Raw's over fucking in the UK or Chile or somewhere right now. So,
right.
You know, they're getting ready for that big fucking trip and it's holiday. So it was a laid back Raw and it felt like watching like a scary movie though, like in a sense. You had fucking monsters running around. You had Miz trying to fucking run out of Raw, scared shitless.
Man.
It was just the perfect Halloween episode.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Strowman, again, with the full babyface turn with those heels taking him out at the pay-per-view, coming out and beating the shit out of the Miz Taraj, the crowd chanting, one more time. He power slams the shit out of poor Curtis Axel, and then to cap it all off, they chant table, and he brings him back up and puts him through the announce table to cap off the perfect babyface turn for Braun.
I can't
Strowman.
wait for a full frickin' arena of just people going,
Yeah, it's a good time, and it sounds like it's probably going to be Strowman on the Survivor Series team with Curt Angle. Shane kind of alluded to that. Bring your gold medals, bring your Braun Strowman. So certainly looking that way with definitely with the Strowman turn here. Speaking of Kane and the chicanery going on here between Kane and Strowman,
Chicanery.
we got to talk about going back to TLC. Finn Balor versus AJ Styles.
Oh, man.
Kind of the dream match that hit us out of nowhere. I thought a phenomenal match.
Yep.
I thought they held back. They could have given us more. They could have given us a better, bigger, better match.
Well, AJ also fucking flew 14 hours to be here.
Right. And again, without any kind of story here in this match, just go out, put on a good match, but don't put everything into it, and then you leave us wanting more. And I thought they did a good job with that, with a really good match. Finn got the clean victory, as it's pretty much what I wanted going into this. It's a Raw show. Give Finn the clean win that he needs. He's got that momentum already built up with the Bray, with basically having all the wins in the Bray Wyatt feud. You got AJ coming over, like you said, with the built-in excuse with the long flight, being off-brand, gets the win. Then the next night on Raw, goes out, gets his ass kicked by Kane, and loses clean as a sheet. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, that was
a garbage
rough
move.
I think, wasn't that his like first major fucking loss too?
Yes.
Yeah. Kane.
Cool. It's neat.
So here's the question, though. Does Finn lose a lot at this point, just having that one loss to Kane in the fashion that it was last week? I mean, we had Finn back this week getting a victory. Who did he face this week? Cesaro from the Bar. So
it's a fun match.
Part of that.
I've already forgotten it.
So the Kane loss. You're saying,
absolutely. Kane loss is gone.
But I mean,
I think
they're probably coming back to it, because even after the match with Cesaro, Kane comes out and hits the Tombstone pile driver on the stage onto Finn. So this isn't over yet between Finn and
Demon versus Demon.
And
I feel like this will be a funner, like darkness feud. Like that Bray Wyatt thing. Just let's end it. Let's not fucking even acknowledge it again. Like, I'm more interested in a Kane and Finn Balor situation.
Well, especially if
Kane's on his way out, so.
Well, that's what everybody's been saying that for 5 years now.
It's the Big Show effect, man.
So I'll believe it when it actually happens. But I do like the idea. Okay, so Kane got the first win in dominant fashion. So it's the story of, can Finn make the big comeback and get the win that can he earn the win basically against Kane and move on to bigger, better things, i.e. Brock Lesnar.
And he needs a real feud like that, a feud with meaning, because like that fucking Wyatt feud, he won every single fucking match, and they're still pulling out every card they could on it.
Well, here's the thing: is at some point Bray is coming back, and I imagine we have not seen the last of Sister Abigail. I hope we have, but I mean we've got a December pay-per-view I imagine to deal with. So there's that. So I'm hoping that we're done with it. But I'm with you guys. Let's move on. Let's do this Kane thing.
Let's move on. But yeah, no, like he needs that obstacle. You know, he's not fighting for a championship obstacle. Like, what the fuck has Finn Balor been doing? So, you know, this loss, really looking at it, it was needed. Get that fucking whole invisible streak out of the way. You know, let's give him something to fight. A monster, a demon. So fucking bring it.
Well, unfortunately, I'm thinking after this whole Survivor Series thing anyway, it's going to be Braun and Kane because of Kane putting Braun through the stage, throwing him in the ambulance and all that. So, I mean, you've got the Kane and Miz stuff in there as well.
Braun just feuds with everyone, though.
Braun and Miz stuff, I should say. Because, I mean, if you think about it, Braun has the beef with Cesaro, the Bar, and the Miz, all those guys for throwing him in the ambulance. So, there's all of that. So maybe Finn will team up with Braun Strowman at some point. You never know. Nia made her big return after being absent a couple of weeks, taking a leave of absence. A lot of people were speculating, was she also asking for a release like Neville did a couple of weeks back, or was she also sick? No, she was just taking a bit of a time off away. And I was kind of curious how they would present, because Vince McMahon takes it as a big sign of weakness when you need to take time off or a vacation, and typically when you come back, he will present you as being weak. That was not the case here.
Yeah, she's The Rock's cousin, though.
Right, and she beat Bayley clean as a sheet in this match with that weird like running cannonball headbutt thing, and then the big leg drop on Bayley.
I was at some fucking video game shop a couple weeks ago, and guy noticed I was wearing a wrestling t-shirt, so he starts talking to me, and then he brings up Nia Jax, and he's just, yeah, she's a good wrestler, and I was like, stop. I just turned around and walked away from him.
Nia Jax is the greatest female competitor to ever step in the ring.
She's not like most girls. Oh, man. So Nia's back, but we also have Samoa Joe back.
Yes.
I love when Nia's kind of celebrating on the ramp or whatever on her way out. And who was up at the top? Was that Alexa Bliss up there? Who?
No, it was whatever.
It was HaHa Clinton.
Yeah, HaHa Clinton Dick stuck around Raw for an extra week, I guess.
Clinton Dick.
Yes!
But anyway, I like Samoa Joe just coming out and just ignoring fucking Nia Jax, just like looking the other way. Samoa Joe comes out, and what did you guys think? He cuts your typical heel promo. You guys don't care about me, blah, blah, blah. He came back to like everybody missed him and everything, and everybody was excited that he was back. Are they making a mistake here? Remember a couple of years ago when Seth Rollins came back and it was the ultimate opportunity to possibly turn him face here? Are they making a mistake here with Samoa Joe? What do you think, Taco?
I don't know yet. Like, even when Samoa Joe's a heel, people are loving what he's fucking doing. So
yeah,
it's hard to tell with him because he's always just that median where it's just, you know, he just wants to whoop someone's ass and he's pissed and he's full of vengeance right now. So let's get him angry out there.
Joe, what do you think?
Same thing. I love Joe as a heel. I don't like him as a babyface. You know, that small, tiny little run of him going against Kevin Owens in NXT for like half a second, you know, saving Sami Zayn and everything. It didn't work for me. That's not what I see Joe. I just see Joe whooping people's asses
him
and
Finn
crushing
Balor
them.
winning the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Yeah, wow,
Fuck,
what a waste.
Why the fuck did you remind me of that? But let's just keep Joe as a heel. Let him do his thing, and he's just reestablishing himself. That's all.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Joe as a heel. I could have done without the obnoxious bang you over the head promo like, oh, I know you guys like me, but I don't like you.
Yeah.
Grr. You know, that was
The
just,
classic line.
Yeah, I'm over that. Other stuff from Monday Night Raw, the Trick or Street fight with Chad Too Bad and Tex Ferguson taking on who did
Mr. and Mrs. Claus.
God, that's right. Rhino and Slater, who needs this job so desperately.
He's got kids, man.
I don't care about your kids.
This was so obnoxious. The jack-o'-lanterns and everything. Basically, I wasn't going to watch this, and you guys said you should watch this for the commentary.
The commentary, like just the dread in their voice was just fucking great. Like,
almost insulted to have to call him.
Michael Cole was roasting Booker this match.
It was bad. It was really bad. Speaking of Booker, and I'm not going to play this whole thing, but I kind of want to introduce a segment called "What is Booker Talking About?" Because oftentimes, like the announcers will feed him lines and expect him to go to a certain direction, and he almost never does.
No.
And there was a really good example last week in I forget what match it is, but I have a 2-minute audio clipper. I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's old news at this point. But keep a search look out for what did I just call? What is Booker talking about segments in the future here?
If that thing would have left on points, Elias would have won the match.
Well, unfortunately, in our business, Booker T, you don't win matches via points. Did you get your refill over there, your haterade for this match? Because, I mean, Jason Jordan's out here. We know how you jump on either side of the fence.
Jason! The thing is, I called that referee's count last night. I said it was a bad count.
Okay, Booker, forget it.
This is an opportunity for both men to...
They just kind of give up on, like, what are you trying to, what are we doing here?
I gotta say, too, at TLC, I wish I had it on camera or was on camera, but he fucked up the whole Strowman going through the floor part. He fucking fell and his chair was up in the air and his fucking legs were sticking through the fucking thing.
He fell through the gimmick
He
stage
fell
or whatever.
through the gimmick stage. And I just fucking Michael Cole and fucking you just saw Corey Graves just laughing like fucking and they had to set up a whole fucking tent around it and like rebuild the fucking stage.
wow.
Like, oh man, I wish I had my camera out for that moment. It was so good.
Oh, that's funny stuff. All right, let's move along and talk some SmackDown Live this week.
Change the subject. SmackDown Live.
I can be a superhero.
I'm going to make this a tag team match.
So, Shane McMahon made himself the captain for the Survivor Series team, him and Randy Orton and 3 other superstars who he didn't name right off the bat. But by the end of SmackDown, we found out it's going to be Bobby Roode and Shinsuke Nakamura joining the Survivor Series team. So
I like how Shane's all fucking hot-headed for this right now, you know, playing the devil in this role, so it's fun. And they picked up the win last year, too.
Yeah,
Well, you know,
I'm just not into Shane that much.
No,
and his promos are not very good.
They're not. I'm just happy to see him not being the same
negative,
typical Shane McMahon, like opportunity. You know, like there's a little bit villainous side to it now. Like, oh, we're the best, fucking we first blow under siege. So you know, it's good that they're actually doing that with the Survivor Series this year. You got uncertain Curt on the one side. You know, like, ooh,
and by rights, Shane should want to make the SmackDown brand the number one brand, and try to make a mark.
Well, and my first thought when he announced himself as captain, which I thought was going to happen with the whole Curt Angle aspect of it too, was just going back to that street fight between Shane and Curt. Like, I mean, it's a fucking crazy. We're not going to get that, obviously.
Right, but you've got that backstory.
But like plenty of backstory. Fucking Curt Angle not once but twice trying to throw him through a fucking plate glass window. Successful on the second time. I mean, they've got history, so I like that build up, and I think that'll make for a better match. But like you guys, I mean, he's just not that great on the mic, and I still fucking hate his shoes.
I'm not. The shoes don't bother me. It's just,
he's like almost.
He just looks like a deer in the headlights when he's out there.
Is he over 50?
You never know with that man gray hair.
Good point.
Nakamura beat Kevin Owens to get his spot on the Survivor Series team. He won with the Kinshasa after Orton slammed Sami Zayn onto the announce table outside with the slight distraction of Kevin Owens. But
distraction. Too many distractions.
But Nakamura getting the win there. Bobby Roode beat Dolph Ziggler at a 2 out of 3 falls match. I was kind of skimming through SmackDown, so I didn't hear. I should go back. But did the crowd chant did the announcer say the following match is scheduled for 2 out of 3 falls? Did the crowd go 2 out of 3 falls? That's all I want to know, because I missed that part.
No.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I'm sure that there's probably some sparse ones out there because there's some assholes.
Bobby Roode wins with the glorious DDT, getting himself added to the Survivor Series team as well. Again, I'm not much into that feud anymore. Dolph Ziggler, to me, could just go away tomorrow, and I would be fine.
Yeah, he's rough right now, man.
Yeah, it's brutal. And I like the aspect of adding Bobby Roode to the Survivor Series team, just because he doesn't have technically any affiliations right now. He's just roaming on his own. It kind of gives him a focus for his character besides this fucking Dolph Ziggler thing.
Yeah. Let's face it. Ziggler feuds haven't done anything for Nakamura. They're not doing anything for Bobby Roode. So, let's move on to something else. Big E versus Rusev. Rusev killed it on SmackDown.
Fucking, he's having fun, man.
he's going around. He's overusing the word elated now that he knows what it means.
You seem elated.
What does that mean?
So he's going. He wins the match here versus Big E with all the shenanigans and skullduggery at ringside with the New Day. The New Day dressed up in their Halloween costumes, which is an entirely another subject. But him going up, Rusev going up to Shane in the back. And how elated are you that I defeated Big E and add me to the Survivor Series match? And he and Shane says, "Well, yes, you did win the match, but we have to earn things here on SmackDown Live. So you're going to have a match next week, and that was going to be who's he going to face?
AJ.
That's right, AJ versus Rusev next week, and the winner of that gets into the Survivor Series
spot
match
right there, because it's like, I want both of those motherfuckers on Team SmackDown.
I like that they have Aiden English out there singing "It's Rusev Day" for like every time that opportunity comes up. And in the promo in the back, when Shane McMahon is like, "You just go beat AJ," and fucking Rusev cracks a smile. He just couldn't, like, he wasn't expecting Shane to like sing his little promo there.
English just going, it was okay.
Right, so I loved all of that. Let's talk about the New Day's fucking Halloween costumes for a minute here, shall we?
Oh my god!
So it was Kofi as Brother Love.
Yep. Big E, is it Kamala? No,
Big E was the African Dream Akeem, who was played by a white guy. And then, all three of these were white guys. It was Jimmy Hart was the other one, and so you could make an argument that Jimmy Hart, certainly the African Dream Akeem, and Brother Love all probably could or should have been black men back in the day, all played by white characters. So this just fun all around.
Red. Oh my god, it was perfect.
The Brother Love gimmick. That was just so much fun. Another fun thing from SmackDown this week, Stranger Things. Glad I got a chance to see that.
Yep.
They had instead of Eggo waffles, they were Uggos waffles. Very good stuff. We had 2 11s, except one of them was a perfect 10. Ty Dillinger under the table.
The best line in the whole thing for me. I'm about to get barbed, aren't I?
Yeah.
Good stuff there. Of course, the Christmas lights surrounding the Bludgeon Brothers. It was Halloween. Why did not the Bludgeon Brothers make their debut on Halloween? They are Halloween characters with giant Halloween hammers.
That's what amazed me. Raw was more of a Halloween episode than SmackDown was, and SmackDown was on fucking Halloween.
Yeah, right. At least they got the Stranger Things on the Halloween episode. That made a good amount of sense, especially with season 2 of Stranger Things just coming out too. At least it's a lot more topical than doing spoofs on Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction from 25, 30 years ago.
That's cool. They're gonna do Saw next week.
Saw's next week.
What do you call it? Raw.
Yeah, well, they did the little thing at the end, the let the games begin thing or whatever, the little teaser at the end there. So I like that they're doing teasers, but eventually, are we going to see these guys wrestle? Are they going to have this feud with the Bludgeon Brothers or whatever?
I think it goes through Ascension first.
It has to.
As weird as it sounds, but as weird as it sounds, hate the characters, with the fucking vignettes with the Bludgeon Brothers, but to make them what they are, they need to destroy every tag team.
I'm standing firm. The Bludgeon Brothers is so bad that it's good.
I'm loving it.
I want someone to look at me the way Luke Harper looks at his bludgeoning hammer or whatever.
And the hammers look badass on like fucking evil scythe.
I don't know. The hammers look like they're made of plastic to me, buddy.
They're not doing it for me.
But we'll
you guys
see.
need to open your fucking eyes.
I'm not saying they're made of plastic. I'm just saying they're not doing it for me.
Other stuff from SmackDown Live, Corbin versus Sin Cara ended in a double countout, no contest. So Sin Cara with a countout victory, a DQ victory, and now a double countout, no contest.
I think they just re-signed his contract for a couple of years.
For Hunico?
For Hunico.
So, yeah,
At least they're doing something with Sin Cara.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he showed aggression. Whoa. Where the fuck did that come from?
So what are the chances here that Sin Cara wins the United States Championship and faces The Miz in the champion versus champion match at Survivor
That's a
Series?
0%.
All right, then. Moving.
I'm not saying that, but I say they could try again. You know, how many times have they tried with this? But like, if he actually shows aggression, maybe get something with the character. He actually had a promo. You know, actually talking to an interviewer. You don't see it with Sin Cara very often. I'll give it a shot. Why not?
So along those same lines now, the next week the Usos have to face Benjamin and Gable for the tag titles. What are the chances that Benjamin and Gable win the titles and face the
Shield?
The Shield.
Yeah.
Probably pretty low there. But what are your thoughts?
I'm certainly hoping not, just because of the
No.
fucking build-up that we've been getting between Usos and Ambrose and Rollins has been so fucking awesome. It's like, I want this fucking match. Don't take this away from me.
Best of the best, man.
Right, I want that. I'm not necessarily as excited for Corbin and Miz though, which is why I could kind of maybe see going to putting that on Sin Cara, but it would feel out of nowhere.
I would really hope not. I'm actually that. Surprisingly, I mean, not wrestling match wise, they could surprise me, but that's the best feud for me going into Survivor Series. Like with these characters, they're making the most of their opportunities, and again using social media on a regular basis against each other. Whereas you've got Brock and Jinder who are responding show to show. You know, they don't even face each other. It's kind of boring in my mind.
All right, let's move along and get into some NXT. Change the subject.
NXT.
So finally, this week we had the announcement that it will be War Games. We'd heard about the spoilers or whatever from weeks ago. We try to avoid spoilers on this show, but much like the rest of the internet, it was impossible to avoid the War Games.
WWE just let it out.
The War Games spoiler. But, it's going to be Sanity, Authors of Pain, and the Undisputed Era, Roderick Strong. Well, let's talk about the main event. The main event from this week's show was Sanity versus Authors of Pain for the tag titles. They were going right along, having a hell of a match.
Hell yeah.
And then it looks like Authors of Pain are about to get the win. They hit the Super Collider and the last chapter. Then the Undisputed Era hit the ring. Go crazy. Big disqualification. Roderick Strong finally comes out, teases joining the Undisputed Era. He does not. He goes off and beats all of them up. Then the Authors of Pain assist him in getting rid of the Undisputed Era. Then a very angry William Regal comes out and says, that's enough chaos. There's going to be fines and suspensions. No, he didn't say that. But there's going to be consequences for what you have. It's going to be a three-way match in Houston, inside 2 rings, inside 1 cage in War Games. So very interesting here, having 3 teams going into this War Games matchup here in a couple of weeks. I've watched a couple of the War Games now recently here on the WWE Network. On the collections part, and all of those. Well, I shouldn't say the ones that I have watched so far have all been made up of 2 teams. So I'm curious to see how they do the 3-team thing, and I'm curious to see how much they adjust the rules for War Games, because the rules are a bit wonky. So if you're not familiar,
geez, something from WCW is wonky.
It was, but here's the thing: is it was a spectacle. 2 rings in inside 1 cage.
I'm trying to figure out, like, what's the excitement of having 2 rings?
It's just something you don't see.
Well, and again, you're gonna get cross ring, jumping and all that crazy stuff.
And it's
especially from these guys.
And it's also the idea of just a chaotic brawl going on, all at once in this cage,
Thunderdome.
So what the way War Games work, if you're not familiar, typically it's 2 teams, and they flip a coin, and whoever wins the coin toss gets to add the third guy. So basically, it starts 1-on-1, and whoever wins the coin toss gets to add their guy first. So then it's 2-on-1. Then a minute or two later, the other team gets to even.
People come out.
People come in individually until everybody's in, and that's when once everybody's in, then whoever I saw one where it had to be it wasn't pinfall, it was only submission. So, and I think that was like the first couple where it's not how did they phrase it? Submit or surrender. That's what it was. Okay. Yeah, War Games, submit or surrender. So that was the only way to win was by submission or surrender. So it would be the funniest thing is it would be all these guys in the ring at once, and then it would take very long to get there, and then all of a sudden, once everybody was in, that was when eliminations could happen. So the weakest guy instantly submitted, basically, like a minute after finally everybody was in there. So I'm kind of hoping they change those rules a little bit, just because it just seems it was awkward. I mean, the heels would always win the coin toss, so they would always have the unfair advantage throughout the melee part of the War Games.
Sounds rigged.
And then right, and then once everybody was in, it would just be a melee, and usually the weakest heel would end up giving up once they got isolated in a submission or whatever it was. So hopefully they. I don't know. When people say the Elimination Chamber is a better version of War Games, they're not lying.
No,
so
it sounds like it.
But that's the thing is, if you change too many of the rules here, you might upset some purists.
Oh my God,
who wanted to see
they can shut their fucking
War
mouths.
Games come back. So there's that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here.
I don't mind the idea of saying after a certain amount of time another guy's added or anything like that, but a coin toss. Do we really need a coin toss in a wrestling match?
Yes.
Well, and how about the idea, let's just start with, since it's 3 teams, you start with 3 guys, and every couple of minutes, 1 guy from each team comes back in, so you kind of
gives that advantage.
You still have the melee, everybody's even the entire time, and then, I don't know. Maybe
we'll see what happens. It's gonna be fucking fun in my mind. I think it's gonna be good.
Right. I think it's still gonna be a spectacle because we haven't seen anything like this in a long time, and having modern wrestlers involved, and it was to see what kind of tweaks they do to the rules, because I feel like they kind of have to, but I guess we will see. Also from NXT this week, we had the McIntyre versus Andrade Cien Almas very unique contract signing situation. I actually like this because it was different from the way they usually do it. McIntyre signs the contract back in Regal's office or whatever, and then he goes out to the arena to confront Andrade Cien Almas to get him to sign the contract, but then Almas just attacks him on the stage, takes him out, beats the shit out of him, throws the belt at him, very untranquilo.
Oh, I even love that he grabbed what's-her-face's gum out of her mouth, put on the back of the contract, and stuck it to Drew, too. Just that little details. Yes.
Yeah, signs the contract and throws it at him. An interesting, unique approach to the contract signing. I liked that very much.
I like this matchup, honestly. You got 2 completely differing type of heavyweight contenders in this mind. I mean, a lot of people don't consider Andrade just because of the size, but I mean, the guy can wrestle, man, and he's got a character. He knows what he's doing. You put these 2 up against each other in the ring, it could be magic.
Yes, sir.
I agree with that 100%. Also, from this week's NXT, the opening match, Tainara Conti versus Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross beat the snot out of her and got the win. Yeah, big surprise there.
No.
Mercedes Martinez says Ember Moon is not going to win at TakeOver Houston, so I don't know if they're going to be building up something.
She needs a little bit of work on the mic.
Yeah, surprising as somebody who's kind of been a veteran on the indie scene for a long time. That was a pretty rough little promo.
But again, that was the first real promo in NXT technically for her. So again, work out the kinks, get used to that whole backstage interview thing.
Right, and who knows? It might have been super scripted too, and maybe that was something that she wasn't into either. But what were you saying, Taco?
Oh no, she's in the right spot for that. Like the rumblings of Ricochet coming in. He needs to be in NXT because that's his weakest thing, is kind of on the mic. So it's just good. I hope she learns from it.
Fabian Aichner versus Johnny Gargano. This was Aichner's second match, and the whole time we're like, "Who's this guy?" Basically,
he's always impressive.
This was a hell of a match, actually. Very good back and forth match. Fabian Aichner gets the upset victory with the abdominal stretch leverage roll for the pin. Good. Near falls back and forth. Aichner misses a double springboard moonsault at one point, I think it was, or maybe it was just a regular double springboard. I think he got knees up on a moonsault later in the match, but nevertheless, really good match between these two. Really puts Fabian Aichner over as a guy who's just coming in here, and
he's having some good matches.
And Gargano selling the loss here as a guy who's just kind of on a losing streak right now. What do you think of this whole situation?
He's getting the Ty Dillinger treatment, my friend.
a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The Street Profits are outside the Performance Center admiring a Maserati. And then Sabatelli and Moss come out and say, "What are you guys doing near our car?" I like that Sabatelli and Moss, who I have affectionately dubbed the Sports Entertainers, that should be their tag team name. I like that they share a car.
Right.
And,
not just a car.
a Maserati. But yeah, that's our car. So yeah, the Street Profits, I don't know what we're doing here, but I like this little story that they're telling between those two teams. And how about, obviously we didn't talk about last week's NXT show, but how about Sabatelli and Moss getting the victory over Clinton Dixon, his partner, basically.
Clinton Dixon.
I don't think I fucking watched NXT last week.
I did. I just cannot remember who they beat.
I had it here. Let me see here.
The fuck was the main event last week?
It wasn't in the main event. It was... Hang on here.
No, who was?
Paperwork.
Almost beat Strong in the main event last week.
Oh, fuck. I got to jump in the way.
Yeah,
I should listen to last week's Best Pro Wrestling Podcast episode.
Sabatelli and Moss beat Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch.
Oh.
Oni Lorcan, who comes out holding number 1, Danny Burch out holding up number 2.
Wait, maybe I did watch that.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, fuck. I need to fucking quit.
Well, and they were and they built up Andrade Cien almost with the win over Roderick Strong, and the Undisputed Era come out and try to recruit Roderick Strong, and then this week he comes out with that armband again, teases joining them, but then doesn't. So that was kind of
coming back.
The story over the. We didn't do a podcast last week, so it's hard to stay caught up when there's no podcast last week. But let's see. Yeah, we talked about the contract signed. The iconic duo are very upset that Billy Kay is not going to be in the match at TakeOver, the 4-way match for the...
it's terrible. It's tragedy.
And
it's upsetting almost.
So they start making fun of the pirate Kairi Sane because Halloween was yesterday, damn it. Who wears a pirate outfit? And then Kairi Sane comes in, spins the wheel, threatens them with her elbow, and then it will be Billy Kay and Kairi Sane in a one-on-one match next week. One thing we have to remember here, Peyton Royce is in the 4-way match, and since it is a 4-way match here in WWE,
this match, anything goes.
So Billy Kay's presence, I'm sure, at ringside will probably be a factor there, but you certainly never know. There's one more thing I want to talk about, and that is... we got to talk a little bit of New Japan this week because I did do Strong Honor on my own, but I teased all of the listeners there saying that I'm going to give my predictions and our predictions for Power Struggle coming up this weekend here on the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.
All the road shows.
So that's okay. I talked about all of that
I'll listen.
on Strong Honor. So
I'm going to have to check that out.
Check out all of the I talked about all of the Road to Power Struggle shows, the awesome Manabu Nakanishi versus Yuji Nagata match in the main event of the first one, and all of the awesome Super Junior tag matches leading into the finals coming up here at Power Struggle. So let's officially change the subject and talk some New Japan.
Change the subject. King of Sport. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, it's been a little while since we talked some New Japan on this podcast. So,
did you either of you guys see Minoru Suzuki's fucking clown costume for Halloween?
Scary.
I did not see that.
Terrifying.
Very scary.
Very terrifying.
Right. The opening match, actually the pre-show match for Power Struggle is David Finlay versus Katsuya Kitamura. Kitamura, the big Brock Lesnar jacked up young lion, and we all know what David Finlay. David Finlay could probably use a tanning lesson from Katsuya Kitamura.
He also looks like Chris Hero without a shirt.
Not quite that bad. Let's not go. You've gone too far, Taco. Please, let me.
That is so profane, Dana.
I hope he gets his face
rude.
punched in.
I'm thinking, of course, David Finlay's probably going to get the win there, but speculation is that Katsuya Kitamura looking to get a push here. Mm-hmm. He's a part of that Young Lions Cup.
I hope he punches David Finlay's face and just.
So, and he's looked good in these Road 2 shows, so it should be a fun matchup. But my official prediction is
your prediction,
David Finlay getting the win there. Then the first match, the return of the Young Bucks versus Teton and Dragon Lee from CMLL.
Ooh, nice.
Taco, what is your prediction for this one?
Man, it's just a standard tag match.
Straight up tag.
You know,
one-on-one.
Let's go Young Bucks.
Yeah, I'm thinking Young Bucks too. Joe, you're the peripheral kind of outside New Japan fan. Any thoughts on this one?
I like CMLL guys going into New Japan. They seem to have a little bit of success going to New Japan and Ring of Honor here and there. I'll go Dragon Lee. Why not?
All right. Then the second match, big 10-man tag. Young Lion Hirai Kawato teaming up with Kushida, Tiger Mask, Jushin Thunder Liger, and Juice Robinson versus all the little Suzuki Gun guys, Taka Michinoku, El Desperado, Tai Chi, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Zack Sabre Jr. Predictions. I'm thinking actually Zack Sabre getting a win in this one, probably over, well, obviously over Kawato after Kawato demands a late hot tag in the match, has some great close near falls, but then loses in the end to Zack Sabre Jr. What do you think there, Taco?
Yeah, I gotta go with my crew with a Suzuki Gun.
Joe, what do you think?
Fuck yeah, skullduggery, man.
Skullduggery, yes. I'm sure the whiskey bottle and the bell hammer and all of that will be in play during that match. The third match, a 6-man tag. This one screams filler. You got Ten Cozy, Satoshi Kojima, and Hiroyoshi Tenzan teaming up with Togi Makabe versus Chase Owens, Yujiro Takahashi, and Cody. So, like I said, filler here. I'm assuming Cody, the Ring of Honor champion, gets a victory over Tenzan or something like that. Taco, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. Cody's got to look strong for Bullet Club.
It's one suite now, Joe. It's just one. They can't do 2 suite now. It's just 1 suite.
Taco, we're going to have to take
Fuck that. I'm with Bad Luck Fale. They're still too sweet.
We're in Japan. The cease and desist doesn't affect us here.
Nice.
As I rock my Young Bucks cease and desist T-shirt. Joe, did you get to squeeze your little prediction in there?
Bullet Club, man.
Bullet Club.
Is that what he's calling it now? A little prediction?
Yeah. The fourth match. This is the finals for the Super Junior Tag Tournament. Sho and Yo, current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, the Roppongi 3K, taking on ACH and Taguchi, also known as Super 69. At one point in the Super Junior Tournament, the Suzuki Gun shoved the bell hammer so hard up Taguchi's ass that it ripped his tights. The following match, he comes out against the other Suzuki Gun members, and they rip his tights apart, exposing his red underwear.
Whoa.
But him and ACH overcome the odds, make it to the finals of the tournament. So here we go. Should be a fun matchup, 2 babyface matchups, but again, you got the Rocky Romero kind of being the needly little bit of a heel, part of chaos, going up against Taguchi Japan, Taguchi and ACH kind of being the fun-loving goofballs here. Here's what I think. I want to see Sho and Yo and Roppongi 3K just win it outright and go all the way. I don't think that's going to happen. I think ACH and Taguchi win the tournament, and then you have the rematch come back, probably at Wrestle Kingdom for the IWGP Junior titles sometime in the future. So official prediction: ACH Taguchi getting the win. What do you think there, Taco? Prediction.
I'll go Roppongi 3K.
Joe, give us your big prediction for this one.
I say Roppongi 3K wins. They take their DNA, they clone them, and they fight themselves.
Hey, there you go. That's
what's going to happen.
Well, actually, Yo from the Roppongi 3K, the one that wears the silver tights, he took so many chops to one side of his chest that it's all raw and bleeding. Like he keeps like, opening stage of the match, he gets into these chop battles, and he just starts bleeding. So he could use a clone so he has a fresh set of skin for his upper chest. All right, fifth match from this show, Gedo Yoshihashi, Tomohiro Ishii, Hirooki Goto, and Kazuchika Okada Team Chaos taking on all of Los Ingobernables, Naito, Evil, Sanada, Bushi, and Hiromu Takahashi.
Damn.
Big 10-man match. These guys have been having awesome 10-man matches between LIJ and Chaos throughout the Road to Power Struggle. Of course, building up to the Okada versus Naito main event at Wrestle Kingdom coming up this January. So that's what these have been building up to. But these have been fun, competitive, back and forth matches here. And it's really hard for me to even pick a winner other than the fans at this point.
My question is it going to come down to Okada and Naito?
Well, it's not elimination style, so it probably that's the thing is neither of those two have factored into the finish up to this point. So that would be really unique at a big power struggle show like this for one of them to get a victory over one another. That would be very interesting. Probably won't happen. It'll probably end up being something like Ishii getting a victory over Bushi or somebody like that. And that's kind of what they've been doing along. Like Sanada had a victory over a junior heavyweight in one of these other matches. So the victories so far have not been very noteworthy on the road to, but certainly that could be some news coming out of Power Struggle is one of them getting a victory over another as far as those main eventers, Okada or Naito go. So I'm gonna sit this one out and not even give an official prediction because it's gonna be fun. It'll be fun. I'll say Los Ingobernables wins it. I don't know who.
Okada over Naito.
All right, that's Joe's big prediction. Okada over Naito. Do you have a big prediction there, Taco, at all?
I'll say let's just do Naito over Ishii. Make it simple.
There you go.
Safe.
All right, now
sit on it and spin.
Now we get into the meat and potatoes of the tournament for the never openweight heavyweight championship in a bull rope match.
Jesus,
Minoru Suzuki versus Toru Yano. Yano has been stealing the never belt throughout the road to Power Struggle. Minoru Suzuki has been choking the life out of Yano with the bull rope, bringing it to the ring, and then when Yano gets away with the never title at the end of the matches, he just beats the shit out of the Young Lions. At one point, Yano actually clipped one end of the bull rope onto Kitamura, and so Suzuki ended up tied to Kitamura, and he ends up murdering Kitamura. So I'm thinking Suzuki does retain the never openweight title in the Wrestle Kingdom. Makes the most sense to me. I just don't see putting that never title onto Yano, but
he's like extreme, dude. He does the RVD thing.
He's obnoxious is what he is. But what's your official prediction there, Joe?
Suzuki's going to whoop his ass.
Yeah, Suzuki.
Can't disagree with that.
You gotta keep it on him.
Seventh match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. Brand new champion Will Ospreay taking on longtime rival Marty Scurll. They did a lot of nice teaser matches and multi-man tags on the road to Power Struggle.
Versus villain.
Should be very, very good. Will Ospreay with him just finally defeating Kushida to get the victory, to get the win over Kushida, just finally getting that the big victory and getting the title. I'm thinking he's going to keep the title here, but they've been building up the tension with Hiromu Takahashi. He's been wanting to challenge for this title, and he's been being thwarted. Marty Scurll came out and broke his fingers when Kushida still had the title. Will Ospreay came out and punched him in the face and knocked him out, so he couldn't get his title shot. So I imagine after Ospreay defeats Scurll here, it will be Hiromu Takahashi coming out and finally making the challenge for the big match between Ospreay and Hiromu at Wrestle Kingdom for the IWGP Junior title. What's your big prediction there, Joe? Predictions.
I agree, the same thing, and I think it's just it's kind of a revenge payback, even just bringing up the Ring of Honor, TV title. He stole it from him a day later.
Right.
Why not get the revenge and just keep that title? So, yeah.
Taco?
Yeah, as much as I like to see that strap on Scurll right now, I don't see it on him, so I roll Ospreay too.
Yeah, they haven't told much of a story with Skrull going after
a good fucking match.
But this will be a good start for that story, and you could tell that going into the Super Junior tournament next year. So then the next one that they have here on the website is the main event, but there's another match not listed on here that I believe should be signed because they definitely teased it on the Road 2. After the show on the 29th, the Road 2 show, Beretta challenged Kenny Omega for the IWGP US title.
Oh.
And then
I think I saw something on Twitter about that,
and
too.
then the following night was the match where the Bullet Club guys came out dressed as Aladdin characters.
Yeah.
with Kenny Omega dressed as the princess there. And it was after that match where Beretta hit a pile driver on Omega after the match. So, like I said, it's not listed on the official NJPW 1972 at the time of this recording, but I believe it will be Beretta versus
Omega.
Kenny Omega for the IWGP US title. Beretta not having a ton of backstory here, a brand new heavyweight. You know, he just defeated his only big singles victory, his only singles match as a heavyweight has been against Yujiro Takahashi, another Bullet Club member, so a little bit of cred there, but not a ton going into this US match. Nevertheless, I think it would be a hell of a matchup, and I think if it happens, Kenny Omega retains. Any other thoughts from this one? Taco?
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. There's no point in taking that strap off for Beretta.
Any other thoughts, Joe?
Yeah. I got confused there for a second. But Kenny Omega's going to win.
Right.
You got to build up the title. You got to keep it on him. And eventually, I think it just turns into a title versus title match. Not saying title for title, but he's going to face whatever heavyweight New Japan champion.
There's certainly a lot of speculation I've heard out there online of maybe unifying two titles in New Japan, quite possibly the IC title and the US title, because there's this idea that we're going to possibly get Kenny Omega versus Kota Ibushi at the Tokyo Dome. Kota Ibushi is taking on Hiroshi Tanahashi in the main event here for the Intercontinental title, and my official prediction is Kota Ibushi winning the Intercontinental title. I'm not sure if they're going to do a unification. There's a lot of speculation on it. They certainly could do that. I do kind of like, and this is a bit contrarian because a lot of people complain that New Japan has way too many championships. Everybody has a title, but it does make all these singles matches feel a little more important, and you can have different champions headline different shows. For instance, there's no regular IWGP Heavyweight Championship on the line on this big show. Right. It's just the IC title. So there's an argument for that. But I could certainly see them going for a unification match between the IC and the US title at Wrestle Kingdom. But as of right now, the only match signed for Wrestle Kingdom is Naito and Okada for and that's selling the thing out, right? Well, it's not selling it out.
Moving.
It's the tickets are moving at record pace. U.S. citizens or foreigners are having trouble getting tickets to this thing because more foreign people are going to Japan for this event than ever before. Jesus. It seems like so. Right now, it's a one-match show and it's doing its job selling the show. So you don't necessarily have to have a lot of big stuff on the undercard for Wrestle Kingdom, but Hiroshi Tanahashi, the legacy superstar here with the IC title. What's your opinion, Taco? Does he keep it versus Kota Ibushi?
Yeah, man. I see Tanahashi holding on to it.
You see Tanahashi taking the IC title to the Wrestle Kingdom.
Is that guy ever going to rehab? Like, seriously.
I
don't necessarily say take it all the way there, but I don't know. Just put it on Ibushi right now. I guess I've missed so much recently, so it's hard to say, but I don't know. It just kind of seems weird to put it on him to me at this point.
Well, the only real story here is that Kota Ibushi has the win over Tanahashi in the G1 Climax. Tanahashi called out Kota Ibushi after his last title defense because he wants to defend that loss in the tournament, and Ibushi, of course, will abide and take a title opportunity here. But of course, I have not looked up a bunch of the translations to see what some of the promos or whatever have been going into this. But I like Kota Ibushi getting a bit of a push here. And in regards to, is Tanahashi ever going to take some time off? What better time take the title off of him and have him do something undercardish at Wrestle Kingdom? My other thought going into this is that Tanahashi's bicep injury is this one giant work because he's never taken any time. And
I forgot all about that injury. To be honest.
He's done this in years past. He's had other injuries that he's worked into the G1 Climax in years past that he's worked into matches and never taken time off to recover from either. So there's that.
I'm thinking too. It's fucking November and Wrestle Kingdom's 2 months now. Shit.
Wrestle Kingdom's the next big show. We've got
that's what I'm thinking. Like
we've got at the end of this month.
My time frame is off.
The end of this month, the World Tag League starts on the 18th, which is a couple of weeks away. That goes through early December, and then you've got Road to Tokyo Dome shows basically going through the end of December there. So it's this show, World Tag League, and then we're at the Dome.
Yeah, fuck.
So if Ibushi's winning it, he's winning it here.
He's winning it here. You're right.
So
I'm gonna stick to my guns.
Tanahashi keeping it. Joe, what's your big prediction?
I'm gonna go
Ibushi. So I could see if Ibushi wins it, I could see them doing a unification with the U.S. title at Wrestle Kingdom. They certainly don't have to. They certainly couldn't. And one of the reasons why I speculate on this too is that new Intercontinental title that they have since Naito fucked up the old one. That new one kind of looks cheap. It
is cheap. It's actually no. I read about this.
Looks like a replica.
It's a cheap replica that they got from. They went like the Global Force route, went like to the Pakistanis, and so it is a very cheap knockoff Intercontinental title. And
right.
They've been, they were trying to scramble to get a real replacement, but they didn't. Obviously, that's what they have.
Well, you'd think they would have. They had plenty of time to buy a replacement because they knew Naito was ruining it. So my speculation is it's been a long time since not only Naito busted the other one up, but it's been a while since Tanahashi won the thing. It was back at Dominion, for crying out loud. So they could have a new IC title by now. So you could either bring out a new IC title at Wrestle Kingdom, or you could do a unification with either that and the Never. You could unify that and the U.S. title. The U.S. title's hot though, so I don't think they're going to get rid of the U.S. title. I think they would just merge it into the U.S. title, and that would just carry on.
Being the Intercontinental title, even though the Never Openweight just is so stupid. You could just get rid of that one.
A lot of people say that. I do like the idea that it is an openweight title, and it could be a junior versus a heavyweight, which they haven't really done too much of, but I like the idea of maybe getting back to doing something like that.
Well, and going back to your point, I'm the same. I don't mind all these titles. It's just that stupid name on that one.
It is a dumb name.
I don't mind all these titles because it creates, like you said, different divisions. Maybe the tag teams, I guess you could merge at most, but I like the idea of, the junior tags. You've got these small teams that are just not going to look, very good against, War Machine and shit like that. So
the only solution there is they did start last year the Never Openweight Trios Championships, and you've got heavyweights and juniors mixed in there.
Yeah, it's worked out so well.
Well, here's the thing: is Los Ingobernables now has held that since Dominion, I think, or it might have even been before that. But yeah, Bushi, Sonata, and Evil have held those trios titles for a better part of the year now. So they've calmed down on the hot shot booking of those. But that's the thing is to Joe and most people, because they started off on that hot potato reputation, they still have that, even though LIJ has had those titles for a long time. So, well, very much looking to Power Struggle coming up this Sunday on the 5th. Yeah. So we'll have a lot to talk about next week on Strong Honor, and maybe we'll delve into it a little bit right here on Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Make a splash.
No diving in the short end.
Don't tell me what to do.
Let's wrap up this show with the WWE Tweet of the Week. Now it's time for the WWE Tweet of the Week. This week it comes from Drew Gulak. Follow him at Drew Gulak. Tip: hand out raisins tonight instead of candy. It's nature's candy. # for a better Halloween. So there
fucking Gulak's killing it.
Yeah, man. He's pretty good. I got a lot of different plugs this week. I should have mentioned this off the top of the show. We are being this podcast is now being posted on a new website, SLTDwrestling.com. Single leg takedown is what SLTD is. So single leg takedown wrestling, SLTD.com. You can find this podcast posted there. Also, this podcast is now on iHeartRadio as well as iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, wherever you find podcasts. So I haven't mentioned this in a while, but if there's a place that you listen to podcasts that you haven't been able to find this podcast, hit me up on Twitter or wherever and let me know, and I'll see if I can get the podcast up in that spot. But brand new to iHeartRadio this week, so check us out there if that's where you like podcasts.
Big one.
Follow me on Twitter at Tommy Stryker, spell Stryker with a Y. Follow the brand at BPW Podcast. Make sure you check out Strong Honor. I talked about all of those Road 2 shows. You can find that at stronghonor.com or at bestprowrestlingpodcast.com. Same goes for Strong Honor. iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, wherever you find podcasts, you can now find Strong Honor. Also, check out our new show, the three of us did. I don't know if and when he's going to post this thing, but what did we call it? Wrestler 3-Wind.
Three-Wind.
We take one wrestler and three of their matches and talk about it, and that is over on thefanspodcast.com. Like I said, we recorded it today. Don't know when it's going to drop, but look for that over there at the Fans Podcast.
It was fun.
Taco, where can people find you?
You can follow me on Snapchat, Twitter at HGREV Taco.
And you can follow me at Joe BPWP. That's at Joe Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Thanks for checking out this week's podcast. Tune in next week to the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. Bye.
Peace.
I can be a superhero. Sigma!
That is tremendous analysis.
Absolutely.
Distraction. Too many distractions.
What a week it's been. So much to talk about.
Keep on sucking.
Oh, we could bring up November 7th is the Nature Boy 30 for 30.
Oh, okay. Ooh. Okay.